Hello friends, welcome back. This is Mehjabeen. Today I am going to explain William Shakespeare's Sonnet 9. I have already explained the first 8 sonnets of Shakespeare. You will find the videos in the playlist with exclusive summaries on each of these sonnets. Sonnet 1 to 17 are categorized as the procreation sonnets of Shakespeare. Each of these are addressed to the fair youth. The identity of this young man is not known. However, what can be understood from these sonnets is that Shakespeare cared about this man deeply and had wanted him to get married and become the father of a child so that his handsome features would pass on to the future generations. And now I'll start explaining Sonnet 9. Is it for fear to whet a widow's eye that thou consumest thyself in single life? So, like the previous sonnets, Shakespeare is addressing this particular sonnet, Sonnet 9, to his fair young friend, and he's referring to his single life. He's asking his friend a question that why are you single? Is it because you are afraid of leaving this world before your wife, and because of your demise your wife will be sad, your widow would be sad and she would be grieving your loss? Is it for fear to whet a widow's eye? Are you afraid of making your widow cry? Are you afraid of making your widow shed tears on the occasion of your demise, that thou consumest thyself in single life, and because of this fear you have decided not to marry, you have decided to stay single? If that is the case, is an expression of sadness. If thou, that means if you, issueless, that means if you happen to die childless. If thou, issueless, that means childless, shalt hap, that means shall happen to die, the world will wail thee. The entire world will mourn your demise. The world will wail thee like a mateless wife, just as a widow, a woman who has lost her mate, a woman who has lost her husband, mourns the demise of her husband. In the same way, the world will become your widow and the world will mourn your demise. The world will be thy widow. The world will grieve at your loss, at your departure from this earth. The world will be thy widow and still weep, and the world will continue to weep that thou, no form of thee has left behind. One is, the world will be sad that you have departed from this world. The world will be sad. The world will express its sadness. The people of this world will express their sadness because you are gone from this world, and they will cry even more. They would be even more sorrowful because you had not bothered to leave behind the child of yours. You have not bothered to have children. By getting married, you never bothered to raise a family. That thou, no form of thee, no form means no shape of thee, no child of thee has left behind, that you have not left behind any child. When every private widow may well keep, but all the women who end up becoming widows, any woman, when she becomes a widow, at least her situation is different from yours, because when every private widow may well keep by children's eyes their husband's shape in mind, because these widows have children, and as a result they can remember their husbands, they can see the impressions of their husbands, of their dead husbands in their children's eyes, and that gives them comfort, that gives them solace, that gives them happiness. When every private widow may well keep by children's eyes their husband's shape in mind. So every other woman in this world who becomes a widow, they have the opportunity to remember their husbands when they look at their children, because their children just look like their fathers. Look what an unthrift in the world doth spend, shifts but his place, for still the world enjoys it. Then he is referring to the unthriftiness of the unthriftiness of people. Those people who waste, they are called unthrifty. Look what an unthrift, a person who spends a lot of money. Look what an unthrift in the world doth spend. Such a person spends a lot of his money, shifts but his place, and the money ends up being in the pocket of those people who receive the money. Shifts but his place, so the position of the money gets changed, for still the world enjoys it. And as a result, the world is able to enjoy the money, although it has shifted pockets. The money can be used, but beauty's waste hath in the world an end. But in the case of this fair youth, his beauty is also precious, but it is lying in the form of waste. But beauty's waste hath in the world an end. Beauty, if it is not used, if it is not shared, if it is not created, if people do not make the effort to beget children and leave them behind, but beauty's waste hath in the world an end, such beauty will come to an end, and kept unused, the user so destroys it. And a person who is beautiful, because he has not taken any effort to spread his beauty, he has destroyed beauty. No love towards other in that bosom sits, that on himself such murderous shame commits. No love towards others in that bosom sits. Bosom means heart. So such a person is heartless, because he has not made any effort to spread his beauty. No love towards others in that bosom sits. So such a person is not capable of sharing his love with another person, that on himself such murderous shame commits. And he has committed a murderous shame by killing the chances of his beauty, by killing the prospect of his children inheriting his beauty. He has committed a heinous crime. He is like a murderer, and it is very shameful. And such a person has committed a sin. So no love towards other in that bosom towards others in that bosom sits. He is referring to the bosom of his fair young friend, who does not seem to care about others, who is behaving in a very irresponsible way by leading a cloistered life, and not sharing his life with another person, not sharing his life with a woman, not siring any children. So that on himself such murderous shame commits, and he is living a shameful life. It's because he has murdered his own beauty, and that is a matter of deep sadness. This is what the poet is trying to express through this poem, Sonnet 9. Well, that's all for today. I will be uploading the summary of this sonnet very soon. Consider subscribing if you appreciate this kind of content. Bye.